Hi there, Jeep owners. Today in your 2019 Jeep Cherokee, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install eTrailer's Class 3 2-inch trailer hitch receiver. You can see that the cross tube is going to be completely hidden behind the bumper with just our receiver here at the back. And it's tucked up nicely so it really doesn't detract too much from the looks of the vehicle. With it having the matte finish that you get on the eTrailer, it really blends in with the kind of plastic black coloring of the rear fascias on these Jeeps. This hitch has a 2-inch by 2-inch receiver, so it's going to be great for all of your towing needs, whether you want to use this for bike racks or cargo carriers, or if you want to throw a drawbar in it with a ball and haul a trailer. You'll secure your accessories to your hitch with a 5/8" hitch pinning clip. Now, one doesn't come included with the hitch, but we've got plenty available here at eTrailer, and I'd recommend locking ones to protect your investment. On bottom, we have hoop-style safety chain loops with a pretty large opening that should accommodate just about every shape, size, and style of safety chain. Our smaller S-hook styles can go on and off easily, and our bigger hook styles can clip on and off as well with ease. This hitch features a 675-pound tongue weight, which is the force going down on top of our receiver, and 675 pounds is going to be more than enough for a 4-bike platform rack fully loaded up with 4 bikes. It's also going to be enough for the largest cargo carriers we have here at eTrailer, fully loaded up to the max. You do want to keep in mind that the weight rating there does include anything put into the receiver, so such as your cargo carrier, plus the weight of anything that you're going to put on that cargo carrier. It also offers a 4,500 pound gross towing capacity, which is how much that it can pull behind it. And that should be enough for pop-up campers, some of your smaller lightweight campers out there. There's plenty of boats, smaller boats, and even some kind of more medium-sized boats that you could probably pull with this as well. And if you want to hook up a trailer and maybe move lawnmowers and things like that around, that should be pretty easy, and you might even get away with being able to haul a very small car with it. It is rated for use with a weight distribution system, and when using a weight distribution system, it does increase our tongue weight to 750 pounds and our gross towing capacity to 5,500 pounds. We've got a lot of different weight distribution systems available here at eTrailer, and they will take the weight that's pushing down on the back of your vehicle and help to distribute some of that weight onto the front axle to help level your vehicle back out, restoring lost handling and braking performance. And if you are planning to haul a trailer, I would recommend getting wiring. You can see here that we've added wiring to this. This does not come included with your hitch, but you can get 4-pole and greater wiring here at eTrailer, as well as the necessary bracketry to get it mounted up here at the back. Now I've got some measurements for you to help you when deciding on accessories. From the center of our hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, we're looking at right at about 6 inches. This is important when determining if your accessories will contact the bumper when inserted and if they can be placed in the upright storage position without contacting the bumper. And from the ground to the top inside edge of our receiver tube, we're looking at about 12 inches. This is important when determining if you need a drop, rise, or raise shank on your accessories, and this one is a little bit on the lower side, so I'd recommend a raised shank on your accessories. Now that we've covered some of the features of our hitch, why don't you follow along with us and we'll show you how to get it installed. We'll begin our installation here at the back of the vehicle. We're going to take a strap first and put it up underneath. This is going to help support our exhaust because we're going to actually remove the entire muffler here. It'll disconnect up there, and we got a few things we'll take off. So I'm just hooking it on our suspension here on the coil spring on each side, and we'll just pull our strap tight there just to give it some support. Once you've got it supported, we'll remove the hangers on each side located up in here. So here's our hangers. We're just going to remove the bolts to get it off. That's just right onto the bottom of the frame. There's 2 fasteners there we're going to remove with a 13mm socket. Then we'll head over to the other side, just on the other side of our muffler, and there's 2 more on that side. Now that we've got both of those removed, we're going to head towards the center and follow our exhaust towards the front to where it's clamped together. This is your differential right here. There's the drive shaft going back to the rear diff. Here's the hanger that we want to disconnect. So we're just going to loosen this up here. We're using a 15mm socket on our ratchet just to loosen up the clamp. You don't need to take the bolt all the way off. It just needs to be loose enough to where we can slide the exhaust off. So just get a little bit of a gap in the clamp there. And we can see we've got a pretty decent little gap there now. The bolt's starting to come out the other side. And we can see that there, so we can spread it open some. That should probably be far enough. So now we're going to tap the exhaust towards the rear to get it to slide out of there. I did put a little bit of rust penetrant on there, so you can get that at your local hardware or automotive store. That'll just help it slide out a little bit easier. Now once you disconnect this, it is going to be completely disconnected. It should support itself in the exhaust tips that are on the back of the vehicle. So you shouldn't need to support it there, but definitely make sure you got a hold of it so it doesn't just fall out of there. And we can see it's starting to separate there. You can see we've got some movement from where it was, kind of the discoloration there. All right, now that we've got that removed, we're going to take down the entire muffler here. So we're supporting this. I'm going to go ahead and lift up just a little bit on it so I can loosen our strap that we were just kind of using temporarily there. I'm going to go ahead and just pull the one off because I'm going to grab the entire thing and we're going to slide it out of here. So we're going to kind of let it drop down some and tip it toward the front of the vehicle. There we go. And once we get it down, we're just going to set this aside. So now we're just going to move our strap just to support the front piece there, just so it's not hanging the whole time we're working. And now we've got a few things we're going to need to move out of the way on the bottom of the frame. Here's the wiring that we're going to need to just kind of temporarily move out of the way so we don't pinch it between our hitch and the frame there. So we've got a trim panel tool here. You could also use needle nose pliers or a flat bladed screwdriver. Just pop that off of there, and then we're also going to pop this piece down out of here. And there's wiring that goes underneath just like this. You're going to pop it out the same way. So now we're going to feed our hardware into the frame. We've got 3 that we're going to be putting into each side. It's going to be basically the same on each side. So you've got a hole here. This is your access hole where we're going to be feeding the hardware in. Just double check. I always like to make sure that the hardware is going to fit, that bolt's going to fit, and the spacer is also going to fit, so we're good to go there. So that's how we're going to get it into the frame. You'll be putting a piece here in this slotted hole. Just to the outside of the slotted hole, there's going to be a hole in the side of the frame. That's going to be another one of our pieces. And then we'll be putting one right here in this location as our last one. So I always like to start with the weirder ones to get to. So we'll probably start with this bottom one, just because this one here is the furthest towards the rear. So we're pushing the coiled end of our fish wire that comes in our kit through the slotted hole and bringing it out the square hole. On the fish wires, I always like to just give them a bend. That just helps ensure that if the hardware grabs, it kind of catches itself and keeps your fish wire from pulling straight through. So now that we've got it fed through there though, we'll grab a bolt and one of our spacers. We'll slide the spacer over first, thread the bolt into the coiled end, push the spacer up into the frame, then push the bolt up into the frame, and then just pull it back down. You'll want to go ahead and leave your fish wire on there. You should have enough fish wires to have 1 per bolt. That'll make it easier to lift our hitch up without pushing our hardware back into the frame. So next we're going to do the one on the outside. It's a little hard to see because of the components there, but again, it's just pretty much straight to the outside of the frame right there. I've got my finger sticking in the hole there. So we're going to push the coiled end into there, aim it towards the front, come back out the square hole. Same thing on this one. Give us a little bend here just for safety. And then we'll grab our spacer, bolt. Those are going to thread on just like the one we just did. That'll push into the frame along with the bolt. And then we'll pull this until it comes out. Now once you get the side one to where it pulls out like that, just go ahead and push it right back in and let the bolt sit in there, because if the bolt's sticking out, you're not going to be able to raise the hitch up. So we'll be able to pull it back through with our fish wire. Now we'll do our last one. This is going to be similar technique, but it's the reverse fish wire technique to get into this last hole. So for this one, we're going to take the coiled wire and slide it through the spacer, thread our bolt onto the coiled end. We'll push the bolt in, followed by our spacer, and then just drop it back down. We're going to go ahead and set up the other side the exact same way as this side now. So we're real close to being ready to lift our hitch up. I would recommend grabbing yourself an extra buddy if you got a chance to, because you're gonna have to feed all these wires through all the holes and stuff. But you also wanna just take a look here at the inside of the frame. You can see the seam sealer here this is on the inside here. On the outside is where we actually want to trim, but this here on the inside, you'll have some of this just like that on the other side, and it can actually obstruct your hitch from sliding up in there and fitting properly so you can get your bolts through. So you can take a razor knife and just kind of trim some of that off of there just so that you can get your hitch into place. And you shouldn't need to do too much trimming. In some cases, you may also need to do a little bit of trimming on your exhaust tips as well, but we're going to try to see if we can't just flex everything out of the way and not have to trim those if possible. So now with the next set of hands, we're going to feed our hitch into position. The rearmost fish wire is going to go through the hole right here closest to you. The fish wire that we've got down, the one that we reverse fish wired, is going to go in the hole furthest towards the front, so we're not going to use that middle hole. And then our side one here is obviously going to use our side fish wire. So we'll just slide that in there. Then we'll raise it up into position. You might have to kind of work it around your exhaust tips a little bit to get it up in there. Be careful not to pinch your wiring when doing so just kind of keep an eye on that. If need be, push your wiring up out of the way. And once you've got it lifted up, you can go ahead and pull one of your fish wires down. Once you got a fish wire pulled down, go ahead and just yank the fish wire off of there. Grab one of your bolts or your nuts and thread it onto the bolt. You want to be careful not to push that bolt back up into the frame when threading it on there. Once you get one started on each side, the hitch will hold itself up, making it a lot easier to do the rest of your hardware. So we got that one on. You could also pull your side bolts through. If you get that pulled through, that will also hold your hitch up. So that's another option you've got if you're struggling with getting a nut started. So once we got each nut started on each one, we can go back now and tighten them down. We're going to use a 19mm socket to do so. And your side bolts, you're likely not going to be able to fit your gun in there, so you can grab a wrench or ratchet to take care of those. We can then go back and torque all of our hardware to the specifications outlined in our instructions. We're going to go ahead and put our exhaust back into place. So you'll want to tip it up first, get your ends of your exhaust into your tips, kind of slide it up into there, then you should be able to raise it up and line it back up. You may have to take your strap a little bit loose to get these pieces lined up as well. And then once you get them lined up, I'm going to put a little bit of penetrant on there or silicone just to help them slide back together a little bit easier. And once you get it started in there, the way we tapped it out, we're just going to come over to the other side and tap it back on. All right, once we get it kind of close, just to make sure it's not going to fall, I think I'm going to go ahead and get these bolts started back on the frame. So just reinstall that hardware, and then we can finalize putting this up. We don't need to fully tighten these down, just to make sure our exhaust isn't going to fall. Just go ahead and get them started. Once you get the two pieces hammered back together, just make sure you tighten down your strap once again, and don't forget your brackets that hold the muffler up on each side. Just snug those down. It was a 15 for the clamp and 13mm for your side brackets. And that completes our installation of eTrailer's Class 3 2-inch trailer hitch receiver on our 2019 Jeep Cherokee.